Gwilym, how are you, mate? It's nice to see you again.
Very good. How are you? What are you up to?
Not a huge amount. It's quite a quiet week this week after 2 or 3 really hectic weeks in Seeper Towers. It's quite nice to have a little bit of time when I can actually get some work done. Because the thing about being busy is you don't really ever get any work done, do you?
Oh, I think you're working when you're working when you're busy.
Yeah, you're working, but usually it's because you've got people coming. You've got people visiting, overseas delegations, meetings to go to, all these kinds of things. And it seems that you're doing a lot of work, but real work is stacking. Real work these days is like working on a laptop, isn't it? It's email.
Output. No,
And
I
it's
get that. I do get
and it's
that.
all kind of stacking up in the background somewhere. And today I've got one of those lovely days where you can just sit down and clear the decks. I really look forward to those.
And a lovely podcast in the middle of it.
And a lovely podcast in the middle, yeah, which I've been looking forward to very much today.
Okay.
What about you? What are you up to? Anything interesting?
I've just yeah. Last night I was at a dad's group.
Oh, you've told me about your dad's group.
Yeah, because I saw that. Yeah, I went to another one. And it's quite interesting actually because most of them about the age of my other kids. So it's a very strange
Oh, so, hang
place.
on, what? Most of the other dads are the same age as your older children, is
Yeah,
what you're saying,
roughly.
yeah?
Yeah. But I had one very interesting guy was talking about his grandfather's three rules.
Go
Just
on.
remember them; they're brilliant. Number one, never let them see you cry.
Okay, yeah, I think I fouled on that one several times.
Number two, never let them see you bleed.
I've definitely failed on that one.
And number three, never tell them your real name. I don't
What?
know who. I don't know. I don't know what he did.
So you're only ever granddad then? You never have a real name.
Your grand apparently had a different name at work and at home. Um, and I don't know who them is. I mean, the people that you shouldn't let those things be done by.
Uh,
Anyway, so there's some three good rules there, Lee. I think we can all live by.
yeah. No, I'll tell you the story one day. But my dad's real name. He's made a lifetime out of never letting anyone know what his real name is. Uh, but that's story for another day. I'll leave that one hanging for a future podcast,
Ooh,
maybe, because
okay,
we ought to
okay.
crack on with this one.
All right.
Because we got a proper real life inventor person on today, and that's always exciting, isn't it? When we get
Yeah.
on. So it's so exciting. I know you get excited about the patent side of it, and I get excited about the fact that it's a real person who does stuff in the real world rather than the world that we inhabit.
Lee Davis and Gwilym Roberts are the two IPs in a pod, and you are listening to a podcast on intellectual property, brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Patent Attorneys.
Lisa Hicks. Lisa, hello, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh no, we've really been looking forward to this. So tell us a wee bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Who I am, I'm first and foremost mum. They do know my real name, my children, that is. Three children, two boys and a girl in the middle. And I'm wife to Anthony, long-suffering husband of almost 20 years, I gather this year. So corporate-wise, before I kind of did my own thing, I was in the finance sector, worked for Bass Brewers, now Molson Coors, of course, First Northwestern Trains, and latterly Volvo Truck and Bus Limited, where I covered sales and purchase ledgers for them. Then we moved overseas. I set up my first ever business in Hong Kong as a personal trainer, group exercise, because I always loved keeping fit and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So I did that when I first moved to Hong Kong. And then I became a mum. I had my first son when we lived in Hong Kong. So I stopped work about 2 weeks before he was born. Moved to the US, had my daughter in the US, back to Hong Kong, had my son, my little son in Hong Kong. Then we moved to Vietnam before returning to the UK. But after we left Hong Kong the second time, no more children. That ship had sailed. So there was none from Vietnam, all back here.
Wow, Gwilym's got so much to unpack there because you've got a similar kind of travelling experience to Gwilym, which I'm sure you'll dive into.
I'm excited about Hong Kong. Yeah, because I was schooled in Hong Kong, so I'm very excited about that bit. What took you to Hong Kong?
Beer. Yeah, we went with beer. So, so my husband sold the beer, and I got people fit. But it was brilliant. We absolutely loved living there, and my children started school there. So yeah.
Oh, what school did they go to?
First of all, they went to Woodland at Harbourside, and then they went to CDNIS, the Canadian school.
Oh, that's interesting.
Canadian International. Yeah.
That Hong Kong side or Caroline side?
Hong Kong side.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. I was at Kennedy School. I think it's called Kennedy
I know
School
Kennedy.
now. Yeah,
yes,
that was
I know
me.
Kennedy. Yeah, fantastic.
Japanese headquarters in the Second World War. Who knew? And
Yeah.
one other question: were you a member of the Hong Kong Welsh Society?
I don't speak Welsh, so they wouldn't have me. I'm not Welsh enough.
That's three of us on the podcast then that fit into the category.
Yeah,
True story.
That was my dad's big thing. I didn't realize I had a Welsh. He set up the choir, the Hong Kong Welsh Male Voice Choir. He was one of the 3 founder members of it. So, anyway,
fantastic.
Oh, I love Hong Kong. Good. We have a
Me
bond.
too.
Lee.
Still miss it. Still miss it.
So much going on here. So tell us a little bit about your current story then, Lisa. So I mean, obviously we've done a little bit of research, so I know you're big into soap, which is fascinating. I've got a soap story to tell that I tell at some point during the podcast, but I'll save it for a bit later on, Gwilym, shall I? Yeah. Now's not time to bring it in. So how did you stumble into the world of soap and soap dispensing?
First lockdown, November. March 2020, we were all at home, the 3 children. Anthony typically worked away Monday to Friday, so it was unusual for him to be home during the week. So the 5 of us and 1 dog at the time were at home. And the amount of rubbish we generate as a family was shocking. Normally, we only spend prolonged period of time together, Christmas or on holidays and things like that, where you don't give much thought to that kind of thing. But as we all know, it went on for months on end, and there was no getting away from the impact we were having as a family. So I decided to make some changes and try and be more environmentally kind. I thought I was pretty savvy shopping, and it proved me wrong. So I thought, right, now I'm going to be savvy going forward. So made loads of changes, lots of things I still use to this day. There's loads of greenwashing out there. So loads of things came with a green flag, but they were either overpriced and didn't work, or they just didn't work, or weren't as effective as the non-eco-friendly products on the market. So I went to solids for soap, hand wash, body wash, and solid bars for shampoo. But as I said, I've got 3 children, 2 boys and a girl in the middle. We had 1 bar constantly covered in hair. Nobody wanted to touch that. My daughter wouldn't touch a bar if her brothers had touched it, because she was worried that she would catch something. And my little one, who was 8 at the time, would squeeze the bar, and it was a game of where does the soap land? Down the toilet, on the dog, on his own head, on the floor, etc. Take that aside, the mess it leaves on the sink, it goes slimy. There's always a hair. Nobody owns the hair. You've got to kind of suck it off the sink to get it off in the first place. You're left with a slimy mess.
We've all been there with a spatula, haven't we, trying to get the soap up? Yeah,
exactly. And my husband said, look, I love what you're thinking and what you're trying to do, but practically, this is one thing when we're all at home with COVID. It's another thing when we actually go back out into the world and trying to make this a sustainable choice. So I looked for a hybrid. I wanted something that gave. We all know solids are better for us, or most people do. Some people don't. Solids are better for us. They're better for the planet, and they are cheaper. But only 8% of the UK market buy solid bars for all the things I've just pointed out. So I wanted a hybrid. I wanted something that gave me all those benefits, but also gave me the convenience of a dispenser. Nobody touches the bar. It's in one place, etc. And I searched and couldn't find anything that did both things. So I thought, okay, there's a gap here. If I need something, maybe other people need it too. So I set about inventing one.
I'm a big fan of bars of soap.
So am I.
But you make some compelling points. The thing that irritates me, everything about the squeezy bottles it's waste. I saw a stat somewhere, I think it's from one of your press releases or something, a bar of soap lasts 20 times as long.
In the dispenser, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. Because I've got bars of soap knocking around, and then the thing you didn't mention is they get thinner and thinner and thinner.
You stick them together. Oh, different soaps.
Genius. Actually, do you know what? There's a business that collects soap bars from hotels and reforms them, isn't there, into bigger bars? But my wife is obsessive about me not throwing away the little slivers of soap as well, because I'm willing eventually to go for a big, but now it's a luxury to get a good big bar in your hands. But I totally get all the problems. And conversely, the waste associated with those conventional bottles sends me around. It's the metal spring that particularly irritates me. I don't know why. You've got me going.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I know the son of the guy that invented that pump. And it was actually designed to last 10 years. You were not supposed to throw it away each time. You're supposed to buy the bottle, change the cap, and change your pump. But we don't.
Nobody
We
does it.
don't. Nobody does it. Yeah, it's interesting. Weight for weight, liquid to solid. Solid outlasts liquid 6 to 1, weight for weight. In the dispenser, because of the unique way the soap is dispensed, it's 20 to 1. So each of our bars is about 110 grams and yields 1,000 hand washes.
Wow. Let me just interject my little soap story here, because it gives us a little break. I've always liked solid soap. Okay. But as everyone at SEPA knows, my staff know, I like it for a particular reason, and that's because you can take it with you on an airplane. So when this goes back now to kind of the days when we were responding to the rise in terrorism and liquids being banned and having to put small liquids in plastic bags and that. And I thought, no, a block of soap is all I ever need, because I brush my teeth with it. No, I'm quite happy to brush my teeth with soap. I can use it as hair product because I go back to the days when I had a lot longer hair when I was a bit punky in my youth, and I can use it as hair product. Yeah, if you let it dry under your arms, it works as deodorant. So a block of soap is the answer to all of your travelling needs, Gwilym.
I feel physically sick.
You're not the first person to have that reaction when I've told that story.
Lisa, I see you waving your hands around when you said you can clean your teeth with soap. You're not agreeing, are you?
Never tried it, to be honest. I wouldn't, not something I would recommend. Ours come out as a powder. And I do say, it's to be used externally only. But yeah, I mean, my little boy, he's 12 now. He went away with the school. And likewise, I didn't want him to take white powder in his bag through customs. Yeah. So he took a bar of our shampoo. We do have accessories, so we've got little soap boxes. So he took a bar of our shampoo in a box. He did take toothpaste and toothbrush and deodorant, but that was his wash kit.
Yeah, I know I'm a little bit odd. It's okay.
I've also cleaned my teeth with soap. I won't lie, but it's because I didn't have anything else, and I thought I wasn't thinking straight. Lee, for the record, I wasn't thinking straight because I forgot that skin is different from teeth.
It is. It is. And you shouldn't regularly wash your hair in soap either, Lee. Shampoo everywhere, soap, hands and body. As a one-off, it's fine, but you shouldn't do it ongoing because it's too astringent for the scalp and it can cause baldness.
Yeah, but that's not happened. And I've done it for most of my life.
Switch to my shampoo bars, and that works on hair everywhere. I'm going to leave it there.
I'm definitely going to give it a go. So let's get back to the story then. So you decided that you needed to create something because there was nothing on the market. Talk us through that journey from the earliest days of you experimenting and designing to how that ended up to you being in the IP world in terms of having patents.
Yes, well, it's a 3-year story from the first idea and the fact that there is a gap there in the market. Lots of people don't know there's a gap there, but there is. I worked with a German design engineer who was based in Hong Kong, and he helped me get the idea into some kind of working drawings to start with. So first of all, it was how it looks aesthetically. Did it do what I wanted it to do? And we had lots of iterations of that, as you can imagine. And then we got the principles to deliver what I wanted it to deliver. We have a contact in a factory, so they could do a prototype for us, and we made sure the principle could work first before we went any further. Most people do probably 2 prototypes. I did 7. I wanted it to work.
That doesn't sound like a lot, though. That doesn't sound like kind of massive amounts of work, but I'm sure it was huge.
Yeah, it's huge amounts of work, and what people don't realize, the money to go into a prototype is a lot more than just producing the end product. Yeah, I've got them on a shelf. Why did
you have so many early iterations? What were you trying to overcome?
Well, without going into loads of detail about the product, but basically you turn the top clockwise and a powder is dispensed out to the bottom. So we've got a feeding ring inside the dispenser, which feeds its way down threads, puts continual pressure on the bar, and it gets the bar so there's no slither Gwilym at the end, it grinds the whole bar. Okay, so obviously the feeding ring can't touch the grating surface because it would, it would blunt it. So we had those kind of things to do. And when you're looking at two threads that sit inside each other, it's not just the pitch of the threads, it's the depth of the threads, the angle of the thread. If there's too much touching, it was too stiff to turn. If there wasn't enough, it would skip if there was any pressure, things like that. So I didn't want to bring out a product that was halfway there. I wanted to make sure it was 110% ready. And that's what we came up with. So that's why we had so many iterations. It wasn't things like color, things like that. It was actually practical things. Initially, I wasn't thinking of developing our own soap and shampoo range to go in there. But then the more you learn about the soap, the more you realize it's got to be a certain consistency to even come out like a powder. So when we found a soap that worked, then we had to make sure it ground to the finest powder, because that's what amplifies the surface area and means you use so much less. So in the long run, it saves you money.
Oh, Lee's coughing, so I'll have a go. I have to wait for him to
Come on, I
cough
cleverly put myself on mute then so no one would know, and you gave the name.
I have to wait for him to cough to get a word in. I still want to know what he does with toothpaste, by the way. But so on the
It's really good. It's really good for cleaning car headlights.
Toothpaste or soap?
No, toothpaste. It's very good for cleaning. Yeah, before you MOT, toothpaste, little kind of cloth, brilliant.
Awesome.
We could go. I know what he does with a windscreen wipe wash. But anyway, have you got an engineering background?
No, I haven't. But maths and physics is my thing. So when I went to uni and did accounting and finance, I was very close to doing mech eng or something like that.
Sure. No, because you're obviously addressing genuine major mech eng problems, and I think things like scalability and customer satisfaction do come down to exactly those details. A quick story, actually. I remember working with a product. There's a CEO of a company that did childcare products, I'll say, and they had a new product which was for the consumer, and they kept bringing prototypes in, but eventually they brought one in and said, "This one we think is ready to go out." And he said, "Hand it to me, because I am now going to mimic a very, very cross mother with 3 children who needs to get this thing to work." And he just did that, and it broke. And he said, "Right, forget it." And that's the test, isn't it? It's you've got to make sure that actually it works day in, day out. And it sounds like it does. You've nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, we've tested it. It should last at least 25 years, each dispenser, and then we'll take them back and we'll chip those and repress them into something else, because a lot of people don't realize plastic can only be recycled once. Changes the molecular structure of the plastic, so only 9% of all plastics ever made have been recycled. We cannot recycle our way out of this plastic problem. We've got to find a better way. And that was my other thing. This had to be absolutely zero single-use plastic.
Which is great, but of course, actually kind of it's almost too good for business, isn't it? You don't want to be selling stuff without, with all due respect, you kind of don't want to be selling stuff that lasts 25 years. So good for you. Hence, I guess, but if you start also actually providing the content that goes with it, then suddenly you've got I guess that drives the business model, maybe.
Well, that's the plan. When I've looked at the average household in the UK, of which there are 28 million, the average household goes through about 66 bottles of hand wash, body wash, and shampoo a year. The average household, 2.4 people. That's only 7 bars of SNOAP. So from a business point of view on that side, it lasts too long as well. So I've got this product, this dispenser that lasts for years, and soaps that last forever as well. So I just need to find more customers. That's what I've come down to.
But you go back. You're doing the reverse of the nice man who invented a 10-year bottle and expected it to be reused. But business says, "Oh, hang on a minute, we could be selling a lot more of these." So. And I think if the planet's going to go sustainable and mean it, then people have to do things like this and realize that this is the way forward. It sells for you. There you go.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm talking to a big golf resort at the moment, and they have refillable liquids. And there's lots now on the market, aren't they? We're going to the pouches now to refill instead of a bottle. And what people are doing, and they don't know, The pouch is not recyclable. Very difficult to clean. So most of it just gets thrown away. And if you put it in your recycling and it's got any trace of your hand wash, body wash, shampoo in it, it contaminates the rest of that bag and none of that can be recycled. So you've gone from a potentially recyclable bottle to an absolutely no chance recyclable pouch, and they break down a lot quicker into microplastics as well. So there may be 75% less plastic, but the 25% that we still have is more harmful than the 100%. It's a bit like going back to the 80s and 90s where everything said, oh, we are fat free, only 75% less fat. It actually means 25% of the bar's fat, right? And we're doing the same now with these pouches. It's an interesting mind game, I think.
Before we get into the really interesting IP story, because I know that Gwilym's desperate to get there, does it grind any soap or is it only your soap?
It doesn't grind any soap because of the makeup of the bar. Not all soap will grind to a fine powder. I don't know if you remember the old Play-Doh hair shop, barbershop thing. Yeah. If it's too soft, it'll come out like barbershop hair, which doesn't lather, and then you end up throwing the soap away. And we know Gwilym's wife would be, upset about throwing the bars or the pieces of soap away, right?
I'd keep them in a little jar for toothpaste and hair products.
You'd be all right. You'd put them under your armpits.
Yeah, just leave a bit there. Just leave it under your arms. It will rub off.
So should we talk a little bit about the IP side of the story, because we know you have a patent attorney. We know your patent attorney well.
Yeah.
And so I'm always interested in, Gwilym do the kind of the techie stuff, but I'm always interested in when and how you decided that you needed to protect your invention and how you went about choosing a patent attorney.
It was quite obvious that there was more to this invention than we'd first thought. As we talked about from an engineering point of view, it's quite meaty. You think you turn the top, powder comes out, voila, there is magic, but there's a lot of science behind the magic.
In there, yeah.
Lot happening in there. So I knew we had to get some kind of protection. My husband's worked for or run various toy businesses. He went from first started in chocolate to beer and then on to toys. So he's obviously grown up as he's gone through his career. But we know the importance of making sure you protect what you have. Ilya and his team have been absolutely fantastic, and they were actually recommended. And then I spoke to Ilya and explained that, we're totally self-funded. So you go through all the tooling, the 7 iterations, 3 years in development, every step of the way we seem to fall between the funding cracks. So it was never anything for us. So when I spoke to Ilya, I really he had to do his best to keep my costs down. And that's what they've done really well. Yes, it's cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of money to protect what you have. But he's worked really hard to ensure that I've paid the little amount I could, or the least amount of money I could, to get the protection. And he's worked really hard because we didn't know, and Gwilym will go into this, but we didn't know at the time that there were these similar products. And I mean, not similar really, but in the patent world, back in 1903 or something. So we had things come up about something similar from then that never worked, never got to market, but somebody had actually done it before. So you'll know you can't then patent something that's already been out there. The fact that it was never out there, never worked, was Ilya's job to get around, and he did. So yeah, really pleased that we've got the protection.
Go on then, mate, fill your boots.
I'll kick off. No, first of all, good on Ilya, actually. I have a feeling that he recognised that he didn't have somebody who had kind of an armchair idea. He had somebody who had a business plan, which is, I think, a really important thing that we always look for, because we can get patents for all kinds of stuff, but we don't really want to be doing that, knowing how much it can cost, unless there's something in it basically for the inventors in the long term, a bit of business that will sustainably and benefit from it. So no, he's extremely good. We all know that. And I saw I think you got 5 very rapid granted UK patents. And in less than 2 years, which is quick. That's good going, that.
Yeah, we've got 5 on the dispenser. I think we've got 2 on the soap, and we've got design patents on the accessories as well.
And you've gone international as well, I think.
We're going international. Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
international.
I know Unilever. Well, Ilya thinks Unilever and Procter and Gamble are going to come knocking my door, and I'm putting zeros on every week that goes by. They have to add another zero to the offer to get me interested. But
We
yeah,
probably shouldn't tell them that publicly. That's probably not a great thing to say. So.
they don't know how many zeros are already there, though, Lee. Do they? That's where the negotiation
Fair
comes
point.
in.
Fair point.
No, I was going to say, so, and the thinking behind it, I mean, obviously, well, that's what IP is about, is that you've got this great idea. As you say, there's always some Russian prior art from, kind of pre-revolution prior art that comes out from nowhere.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've navigated your way 5 times around that, which is great news. And what, of course, that means is that you're going to have that kind of nice web of protection almost. So if anybody wants to come and do what you're doing, they're kind of going to have to come to you and buy you, take a license from you, or stop. So that's a nice, powerful position to be. And obviously, starting with the UK, I guess your strategy is get your home market settled and kind of keep the costs under control for the rest of the world.
Absolutely. It was understand any pushback here. It's random what people come back with. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with the public. So you have to turn the top clockwise to feed the ring down for continual push. And the number of people who turn it anti-clockwise has been quite interesting. Oh, nothing's coming out. Oh, it rattles now because they've released the pressure and all of that kind of thing. So it's been really good to have that on the doorstep. We're in 5 private local schools here. So they were our first commercial entity to take it on. They're on the river. They're really keen to do their absolute best by sustainability, which is why they didn't go for the easy, quick refill liquid stuff. They've gone cold turkey, which is really good. And it's meant great feedback for me because it's not only people, it's children as well as people that are dealing with it. So it's like animals and children and animals, isn't it?
Yeah.
I then quickly had to devise a tamper-proof band because the original idea was domestic. So commercial have come on board, and obviously you can take the soaps out and you can actually take the dispenser off the wall as well, should you want to do that. So I've now designed and produced a tamper-proof sleeve that slots over the bottom, stops you removing the whole dispenser, stops you opening the door, and it comes with a little tool just to take it off to refill when you need to. So we've learned a lot by having it starting on our doorstep, and I really like being that tactile. I can get out there, I can actually, solve any problems and talk to people, which I like to do.
Fantastic. Oh, I've just found your patents. So Odonata International.
Odonata, that's right.
Odonata.
Yeah, that's the overall company. Yeah, that's the order of dragonflies and damselflies, because all our logos are dragonflies.
Love it. Interesting. So I just found I'm going to start reading their claims in a minute,
Yeah.
Lee. I'll talk you through all that.
Be ready for an interrogation.
So I guess so you've actually got a nice kind of people trialing it, coming back with feedback, so you can continue to improve and everything like that.
Yes, I've got people actually coming to me now, businesses coming to me to say, I had to call today, a group are building a carbon neutral hotel. So they found SNOAP and said, right, what do you offer that liquids don't in the world of, carbon footprint? And SNOAP's less than 10% the carbon footprint of liquid. And it's as simple as that. That on top of the plastic, on top of the category of wastewater being changed, going out of your business, is a big deal to businesses like that.
Sorry, I was just reading the claim, get very excited about it. I'll stop reading the claim for a minute. Stop reading the claim. No, and that point about kind of grinding it down to greater surface area, has that been one of the kind of key findings for you, or?
No, actually, that was one of the things I started with. I knew the powder, the finer the powder was. My initial idea was less than 1 pence a wash, and we are, we're far below that. Like I said, 1 bar at £5.50 gives you 1,000 hand washes, so much less than 1 pence a wash. But I wanted to make, from my experience of trying to be more sustainable and things costing a fortune and not working, I wanted something that worked. I wanted it actually to be better. I wanted the experience to be better, and I wanted it to be cheaper in the long run. So buying the dispenser comes with 2 soaps for £45 it retails, but that is up against £60 worth of liquid. So straight off the bat, even buying a dispenser, it's saving you money.
On the first purchase, basically.
On the first purchase, yeah. And we're capex for businesses. We're saving businesses on average 56% on their annual soap bill in year one, and then capex to pay back on something you change in year one is massive, as you know.
So I'm getting quite excited here because I'm on the management committee of quite a large squash tennis club, sort of tier below Wimbledon. So and one of our greatest problems is the amount of soap. We have soap, we provide it for members to wash in the showers and stuff like that. And one of our biggest problems is that these things end up just like dribbly messes. They end up leaking all over the place. And our management committee meeting next week, I know what I'm doing.
And I assume, Lee, you're talking about the soap. They're not the squash players being dribbly messes at the end of the day. Yeah.
No, some of us are getting on a bit, and we do have that kind of problem that gentlemen get at a certain age. Yeah.
Oh,
leave the ladies out of it. Yeah. Exactly. No, it's absolutely, businesses and home, and I think that's where the message. It's an interesting message to have something that's so effective B2B and B2C.
Yeah. Well, the stories work for both of us. I was going to just quickly actually find a story there. So you just said don't wash your hair with soap. So I'm assuming therefore you've got different dispensers in different places with different product in, or?
I've got 2 in my shower, one for soap and one for shampoo. If you're going away, so when we go away as a family, I take my dispenser, of course, and stick it to the mirror in the hotel or wherever I'm staying. But we have travel dispensers as well. So I say to people, grind your shampoo, and shampoo literally does everything, but it's more expensive because they're individually hand pressed by my shampoo maker, who's amazing. But yeah, you can wash your hair in soap, but you shouldn't wash it all the time. I've just convinced my dad, who's 81, to stop and go to SNOAP. So he's still got a full head of hair, so it can't be that bad.
Interesting also that you're shifting technology if you're moving into the soap, and I mean, I don't know whether you're kind of at the material science level or kind of more the mixing things together and seeing how it works level, but either way, presumably that's another kind of technical leap for you from your background.
Well, my husband did biochemistry and genetics at university, so he has actually done a soap making course. So he is a qualified soap maker, and because I really wanted to understand every element of the business. So when we went into soap and shampoo, I want to understand that as well. And we are formulating Welsh sea salt soap and shampoo. It's already, ours isn't on the market, but there are others on the market. Won't work as well in our dispenser as ours will, of course, but that's to come.
Sounds like I'm well up for that. That sounds like you could eat that one.
You can not. I would not recommend eating soap, even sea salt soap.
Oh, and how many twists to get you a good handful of soap then? To get a.
How many turns of the top?
Yes.
1/3.
Oh, just
1/3 of a turn will give you ample for a hand wash.
This is really good, isn't it? I mean, we're not supposed to be commenting on product, but it sounds quite cool to me.
Yeah, it's really, like I said, it was making sure it was cost effective, and superior. They were the things that I needed it to be, and
it's also quite disruptive, isn't it? It's
very disruptive.
Yeah, the market wouldn't have seen or even have been expecting something like this. It feels like this is quite disruptive.
It's really disruptive, Lee. They've got there's little cubes of things that you can buy now for travel. But what we've done, we've got smaller on-the-go dispensers that you can take SNOAP, which is the powdered soap, with you, or like I said, we've got the soap bars to take. But SNOAP, gives you so much more for your money.
It's definitely going to be something that's probably going to be going into my rucksack.
That's literally your bag, right?
Yeah, it's about. Of course, it's bag.
Just making sure it's not.
Hey, by the time we take the podcast to Inter, I'm going to turn up with a solid soap dispenser. I'll bring it with me to Atlanta.
I'm quite excited about that. I'm also going to be checking your teeth.
But not too closely.
Not too closely. I've got one last IP question, actually, which is, you mentioned putting zeros on numbers for offers from external. What is your long-term plan? Do you want to exit? Do you want to kind of go big? What's the plan?
Global dominance is the plan. Not planning on exit.
Good.
This is a sustainable brand. It's as Lee's pointed out, a real disruptor here. And I would really love it to be something that the children carried on with, developed and expanded.
Oh, lovely.
There's certainly lots of areas around the globe that could really benefit from this. I'm working with Project Seagrass, and some of our profits and support go to them for cleaning the ocean, restoring and replanting seagrass beds, because they capture carbon 35 times faster than the tropical rainforest, and there's a lot more sea than land on this planet. So I'm hoping to do what started as an idea to solve plastic pollution is now growing into a much bigger force, and I'm hoping that just continues to grow.
That's actually quite nice to hear, because I think the desire for exit is a very British disease. We talk to so many businesses who want to invent something, and then within 2 or 3 years, when they get a nice wad, and then pass it on and retire. And this, I can see the attraction, but there's worth excitement in that. I think bringing something through, as you say, to global dominance and to make a difference. Yeah, sounds like a quite compelling story. I like that.
Yeah, and I think because it was an idea that was sparked from a need for my family to do better. I'd love my family's involvement going forward, and for it to be something that they, a bit of a legacy brand from me. So, beyond my day, they'll be saying, oh, well, she did that, she changed that, and look at the impact, the great impact this had on the world.
So quick couple from me at the end, if that's okay, Lisa, and then we'll draw the podcast towards a close. What have you learned along the way, either about the process of invention and taking a product to market, or directly about the IP, the patent process? What perhaps lessons could you give other people?
Lessons I could give other people? Oh, there's so many. There are so many. As always, it's who you know. I was very fortunate that I had contacts that could help me with the process. Cost me money, so I say help. There was no favors. There was jobs being done. But it's still great. You still have to get people you trust involved with something like this. From the beginning, everyone I've talked to throughout the whole process were NDA'd. So nobody could talk about what I had. I didn't, people were saying, have you done market research? Do you talk to your friends and family? I'm like, absolutely not, because you can't talk to anybody. So if you're serious about an invention that's going to need protection, you've got to keep quiet and make sure you're only talking to the relevant people. I would highly recommend Ilya and team for anyone looking for IP, because I honestly believe that man has your best interests at heart and really cares about you as a customer and your product. So I don't think there's anyone better out there. Not that I've spoken to loads of IP people, Gwilym, don't take it personally.
And for balance, I will say there are 2,700 plus other patent attorneys who will equally have your best interests at heart.
Yeah, I'm sure they would, but the one I met was great for me, so I would recommend him. Yeah, there's learnings along the way all the time. I didn't realize how long it would take, how much it would cost. I work literally 14-hour days at the moment to disrupt a market, because I'm one woman in Southeast Wales going up against the big guys that have billions to throw at marketing, and I don't. So one tip I would really give people starting a journey: keep some budget for marketing. It costs more than you think, and realize the areas you're not very strong in. I've never done marketing in my life, so to suddenly be creating social media posts to go out on various platforms as advertising campaigns and things like that, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah, it's probably a lesson that people tend to learn as they go. Go on, Gwilym, sorry.
Yeah,
you've got lots of good numbers there, though. That sounds like some good stats to throw around, which I think it really helps with the story.
It really helps with the story, but it's interesting following conversation I had this morning with a big hotel chain that I'm speaking to, and they have stuck with the liquid refills because it's the easier choice. So I think from today's learning, my story is, are you brave enough to make the difference, or are you pretending that sustainability is really your thing? Because if you're really serious about doing better, do it. As the famous Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. We know better. We know better. So why are we doing 3/4 of a job when we should be doing over 100% with everything we do? Every choice we make should be a better choice.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, Lisa. It's been so inspiring, and we do love it when we get bona fide inventors on who have gone from that sort of particularly small inventors who have taken a real world problem, solutioned it, and then find themselves in the world of IP because they've got something that's actually going to be quite successful. So it's kind of fantastic to have you on the podcast. But the podcast isn't finished because we always have kind of a slightly tangential question at the end. This one might not work, Gwilym, because we've kind of talked about it a fair bit already. So I was wondering whether you had, and then Lisa, and then me, whether you had any other uses for soap or any other kind of washing type product that people would consider to be sort of slightly unusual.
I'm a bit like, I'm not totally unlike you, Lee. I'm a little bit lax about my kind of differentiation between the various applications of sanitary products. So basically, when I go away, I also hate carrying liquid through. So I have used soap to clean my teeth, as I've mentioned. I also just use whatever is in the hotel to wash myself. Just don't really care. And just don't. And as far as I'm concerned, shampoo is just soap, isn't it? Right, it's wet soap. Obviously wasteful and wrong. So yeah, just wash.
But you're still primarily using it for the purpose it was intended, though. Yeah.
Oh, that obviously cleaning my headlights. Obviously, and that goes without saying. Yeah. So no.
Lisa must have found some unusual uses for soap.
One of the strange uses for soap that I use is for stone floors or your doorstep. Really cleans those, especially a good natural soap like my own. It's got the glycerine in there, so it seals the stone. So it doesn't make it slimy or greasy, but it actually stops it being so porous, and it does remove. Don't know if you know the difference between soap and hand wash or antibacterial wash, but soap envelops the bacteria and washes it away. So it actually, surrounds it and takes it away. So when you wash something like a stone floor, you're actually removing rather than just killing and leaving there all the baddies, all the bacteria. So I love it for my stone floors and my my doorstep.
When do you have time to clean your stone floor? When do you do that?
Not very often, but when I do it with soap.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. But yeah, please guys, stop using hand wash and body wash. They are detergent and they take away the natural barrier of the skin. So 2 to 5% of what you put on your skin is absorbed, and the more you strip it, the more you are, allowing pollutants and contaminants from the environment into your body. So I would urge you to use a soap to actually wash. That's what
Lee,
it's for.
You're right all along. Lee, have you got anything else?
Oh, so you don't know, Lisa, but Gwilym does know that my long back story is that I'm a plumber by trade, and I always try and get a little bit of kind of construction-y stuff in there. So yeah, so I was an apprentice plumber nearly 40 years ago. And I learned a couple of things fairly early on. And first of all, if you're putting a screw into wood and you just rub it in a bit of solid soap, yeah, so not detergent, liquid soap or washing up liquid or anything like that, rub it over a bar of soap because it's so much easier. Absolutely kind of like flies. And same if it's going into a wall plug or something like that. So a little bit of scratches, you screw over solid soap. Perfect. See, no one noticed. Absolutely no one noticed. And so the other thing is that as a plumber, the one job you hate is putting silicone sealant around a bath or a shower tray or some such thing. And this is where a little bit of washing up liquid comes in, just the tiniest little bit of washing up liquid on your finger. Yeah. And you can get the perfect smooth joint around your silicone sealant because it stops the silicone sticking to your finger.
I usually lick my finger for that job, Lee. Should I not be doing that?
I usually lick it afterwards, Lisa.
Brilliant.
That's probably the best place to leave it, Gwilym, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was a while ago, but there we go.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Gwilym, lovely to see you as ever, and I'll be catching up with you in a wee bit, I know. And just finally, if anyone's listened to this and found it particularly enjoyable, then leave us a little review, because if you leave us a review, more people find us, and if more people find us, they can all discover stories like Lisa's, which is amazing. Thanks both.
Thank you.